Ever listen to a track and think to yourself, man, I can't tell anybody about this ever? I hope so, otherwise, this won't make much sense. I asked my dearest viewers on this YouTube post to send me their favorite guilty pleasure songs, and today, I'm going to rank them on this tier list here. That's about it. Let's dive in. Aaron MWW says, Just Go by Stained. Dysfunction as a whole is shockingly good. Stained, I believe, falls under the butt rock category, and while perhaps rightfully so, they're far from the worst fellas in that genre. Certainly blow Nickelback out of the water. Fuck Nickelback. This is pretty solid stuff, though. Aaron Lewis is a fairly underrated vocalist, I'd say. And while the instrumentation is about as generic as it could probably get, it's certainly not an unenjoyable listen. No way. I'll go A tier. It's a Special Tower. 1979 says The Final Countdown by Europe. That synth riff goes hard. An all-time classic track right here. Not sure if I'd describe it as a guilty pleasure. Actually, I am sure I would not describe it as a guilty pleasure. It's just kind of one of the most iconic tracks ever. You throw this on, I don't think anybody bats an eye. Go nuh-uh. Northwest Rain 2399 says, Not Your Fault by AWOL Nation. Sometimes you want to relive the glory days of early 2010s YouTube Vivo culture sponsored by Red Bull Records. Man, I can't say I had much fun right here. Vocally, this is very unserious, I think. They're not all that well done, and I don't know if they really fit the track at all. This is certainly a guilty pleasure, but is it good at all in any way? Legitimately any way? I would say no. Kind of sounds like Avenged Sevenfold if they were even worse. E tier. RJ Cooper says, Run Around by Blues Traveler. It's a classic and I love it, but I always feel like I'm in my mid-40s on my third divorce and sustaining myself on TV dinners. This is a classic for sure, but I completely agree with your take here. My age instantaneously doubles, my hairline flies back about 4 inches, and my back starts to ache. The vibes here, however, are relatively unmatched. Sounds like a very nostalgic song. Brings me back to a nice summer cookout where your uncle had far too much to drink. This is S tier stuff. Seaman Y3C says, Since You've Been Gone by Kelly Clarkson. Don't judge me, it has a killer chorus. A song I would describe as irreplaceable in the white girl core scene. It's peak stuff. Perfect fit for the prompt too. I would never throw this on, but I'm not sure if I could physically stop my finger from wiggling were this song to be played in my presence. Perhaps even a little toe tapping would be in order. Really fun and light track. I'll say go tier. Sometimes you gotta live a little.
I love little girls, they make me feel so good.
Hazonia 2335 says Little Girls by Oingo Boingo. Some say the devil's greatest trick was making the song so damn catchy. I'm Late to School says Wendigo by Sematary. I can see somebody listening to this artist for the first time thinking everything about him feels over the top. Vocals are rough and off-putting, and the lyrical content sometimes sounding like an angsty middle schooler wrote it while trying to imitate an old slasher movie. That being said, the ugliness just works for me. To put it lightly, listening to this artist for the first time, everything about this feels over the top. The vocals are rough and relatively off-putting, and the lyrical content sounds like something an angsty middle schooler would write while trying to imitate an old slasher film. This does not work for me, I'm afraid. I don't actually even see the charm here. Really loud and kind of mind-numbing. I won't be back. Back of the C tier. Mr. Man D5Z says Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue. It's just so cheesy. This might be the worst mixed song I've heard on Apple Music. Not that that matters, but I just thought you should know. Doesn't feel like a guilty pleasure to me. It's just another classic track. It's iconic stuff. I don't think anyone would complain if you threw this on in the car. Super iconic chorus, solid enough guitar work. Were I able to actually hear the song through the mix, I'd probably be having fun. I don't think it's a guilty pleasure, though. I'm going to say nuh-uh. Leo Paquer says, Jason's Song, live by Ariana Grande and The Roots. Dare you to look me in the eye and say this shit ain't funky. Tragically here I do have to induce the Jimmy Fallon tax, knocking this down a tier from wherever it would have ended up. Is it funky? Sure, yeah. I like the song. Ariana Grande has a fairly incredible voice. The Roots are always fairly on point instrumentally. This was a recipe for success, and success they found. I'm not feeling guilty, though. Were this the Ariana Grande original track, perhaps I'd hide this in my back pocket. But as long as I think of it as The Roots, I'd show this to my doctor. Does that make sense? Top of the A tier. Chris Reds says Toxic by Britney Spears. Classic track right here. This is probably flat out her best song. Not that there's a long list of competition, but this has a very nostalgic vibe as well. I'm certainly feeling guilty, as upon clicking on the music video, I immediately flashed back to 2010, sitting on my couch watching this on MTV. I will say nothing else without my lawyer. This is a banger, though. One of the better pop tracks of the 2010s, I'd say. Back of the S tier.
You should.
Cyborg4234 says, A Long December by Counting Crows. Counting Crows is an interesting band to discuss, I think, because I truly believe they encapsulate the word mid better than any other artist on the planet. As for my favorite song from these guys, I'm more of a Mr. Jones guy myself, but if you stay towards the top of their most streamed tracks, you'll be fine with this artist. This is a solid soft rock track. It doesn't really capture my attention all that much. This feels like a song you hear in a bar and quietly pull out your phone to Shazam the track. Is that what it's still called? I don't remember. I like it though. Textbook B tier. Andy Does Stuff says This Love by Maroon 5. They get clowned on a lot, but some of their early work is pretty damn good. Oh fuck yeah. As soon as songs about Jane ends, you can pretty much disregard everything else they put out, but I'll admit, this is a banger. Great vibes. Adam Levine in the studio is kind of talented, at least they mask it well enough, and it's damn catchy shit. I don't know if this is a guilty pleasure. This is kind of a universally loved track, so I'm gonna go with nuh-uh. Javox1999 says Rattlesnake by King Gizzard. Fans love it, but I'd never subject people outside the fan base to that endless rattle. I love the hypnotic repetition of the song, but I feel like most people would find it very annoying. I don't know if I agree. I think this song's kind of just a banger. Not sure how quick I'd be to pull out my King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard at a function, but it's certainly got a very hypnotic vibe to it, like you said. Really well written on all fronts, I think. Vocals are great. Everything's pretty excellent here. I don't think this is a guilty pleasure, though. In fact, I would be incredibly smug as I played this song. The Gizzard makes me feel smarter. Nuh-uh. Daz_ says Wildflower by Billie Eilish. This album is a fucking banger and I will die on that hill. This album is pretty damn good. That's how I'd describe it. Pretty damn good. It's certainly one of the more downer tracks on the album. Not that the whole thing isn't kind of a downer, but this might be the peak of the sad, I think, maybe. Really simple track. Kind of lets the lyricism and vocals do their work. Very sparse instrumentation. I like it. It's great stuff. I'll say back at the GOAT tier.
You got issues that I won't mention for now, 'cause we're falling.
Metalman4133 says Passion Fruit by Drake. I fucking hate Drake, but man, this song is insanely chill. Perhaps you feel guilty today, but before the incident, this was perhaps the safest aux song of all time. Really accessible track, just very light and almost floaty production. Drake delivers a solid performance, I'd say solid, and it kind of results in a classic track. I don't think this is a guilty pleasure, I'm afraid. Most people don't care about the incident anymore. For whatever reason. You probably won't get too much flack for this. So nuh-uh, but it's a pretty good song. James McDonald 9469 says Lady Hear Me Tonight by Majo. Just a super fun and catchy song and also very nostalgic. Gets me smiling every time. Certainly got the nostalgia factor locked in here, but I don't think I like this as much as a lot of other people. It's almost entirely nostalgia for me. I look at this song today and I don't really hear much I love about it. It's solid, but belongs on the Grand Theft Auto radio station and not really any closer to me. I'll say back at the beats here. I Snort Crouton says Chasing Cars by Snow Patrol. I've never seen Grey's Anatomy, The Pit, Solos. Anyway, I didn't know this was from that show. The shit's too long. I don't got time for that. As for the track, I think it's pretty good. But I agree with the guilty pleasure tag here. It's almost sad slop, I think. Everything screams at me sad slop, but there's certainly a charm to this track. I think it's nostalgia again. It sounds like the early 2000s in almost every way. It's lyrically kind of heavy, but still straightforward. It's pretty good, to be honest. I like it. Back at the S tier. Daniel Blakely 2149 says Brooklyn Baby by Lana Del Rey. Hey buddy, your secret's safe with me. This is a banger and Lana Del Rey produces bangers. We can admit it, fellas, she's got sauce. Probably isn't one of my favorite tracks from her, but it's really solidly produced and pretty well written, I'd say. This is great stuff. Top of the S tier.
He was a stranger. He walked in looking for danger.
John Nickelback Impersonator says My Electric Blue by Benson Boone. Don't get me wrong, I fucking despise the rest of his work, but this is kind of a banger. If Harry Styles released it, it would have been Song of the Summer. This might have been good were it written 20 years ago, perhaps by someone completely different. The second this guy starts to sing on a song, my body physically tenses, and I think it's a natural reaction to this guy's voice and his music. It's really just not good for its time. And my god, does he just kind of suck the life out of anything he appears on. The vocals, Well, I can't say they're bad from a technical standpoint, they just don't work. They're overdone. This blows just as bad as really anything else I've heard from this guy. I certainly feel guilty, though. Back of the seats here.
Come back and hey, oh, look at what I...
Shady Violet says Snow by Red Hot Chili Peppers. Emphasis on the guilty part of guilty pleasure. I am notoriously the world's biggest Chili Pepper hater, but even so, this song's just not that good, I don't think. I'll give you a couple tracks from these guys that I can appreciate as being good songs, sure. But I feel like Anthony Kiedis just actually sucks so bad on this track, really. It's hard for me to hear anything else going on. Not a highlight of even their own relatively weak catalog. Down there with the other pedophile song.
You got a sister-in-law, you a smash, I got 4 of them.
Tom McGuire says Ecstasy by Kanye. Got enough dirty looks that I've stopped trying to put people onto this song, but I find the beat oddly mesmerizing, and it's just funny too. I don't know, man. This is far from the guy Kanye once was, perfectly encapsulated in 2018, right before he completely lost his mind, or perhaps as he was losing his mind. I think this is fun the first time you hear it, unique at the very least, but this has almost no replay value for me at all. Not all that interesting after the novelty of kind of the ridiculousness wears off. I'm going to say top of the seats here. Alex says Sing Me to Sleep by Alan Walker. Coming from an avid progressive rock and hard rock enjoyer, I used to listen to this particular song for hours on end in 2016 and some others in his discography. Sometimes it's nice to go back to my roots and see how I've evolved. Well, as a person who didn't listen to this song for hours on end in 2016, this didn't do much for me. Kind of sounds super overproduced, kind of mediocre DJ music. Some shit I'd hear at the end of a Minecraft Let's Play, or perhaps on a tutorial, or perhaps during a tutorial explaining how to run Windows Movie Maker. C tier, behind Kanye. Untold 13 says Princess Diana by Ice Spice. Don't kill me, I like the beat a lot and it's a little repetitive, but I liked it enough to buy the EP on vinyl. Hey man, you do you, but I'm also gonna do me. That makes sense, I think. Very alright track, I'd say. I think Nicki Minaj actually has a decent verse on this track. The production is solid enough, if not a little boring. But Ice Spice herself doesn't really bring too much to this track for me. Certainly a guilty pleasure, but I've also certainly heard worse. I'll say back of the beat here. Foreigner Stan 1994 says Semi-Charmed Life by Third Eye Blind. Knowing the song's meaning, the song is a certified bop. How dare you? Nuh-uh. Inca69 says Dancing Queen by ABBA. Driving with the song unnecessarily loud goes way too hard. This is an all-time classic. I don't understand the guilty part. In fact, how dare you? Nuh-uh again.
Someone tell me why my town feels like home.
Sharp Type 1 says The Big Goodbye by AJR. I don't know about this one, boss. This is almost exactly what I expect from these guys, and while I'd probably say they're a touch overhated, probably maybe, they still kind of suck, you know? I wouldn't call this a bad track. It's certainly a guilty pleasure. This is a listenable track from AJR, and that should probably be celebrated. I'm gonna go B tier above Ice Spice. Latchy Forever says Magic Fountain by Art vs. Science. The song just makes me giddy and excited. I end up screaming Magic Fountain at the top of my lungs every time it plays. There's certainly something about this song. That's what I wrote about 47 seconds in. Upon reaching the 48th second, I understood why you called this a guilty pleasure. I myself would not call this a pleasure. It's almost like if Nine Inch Nails had nothing to say. Can't say I'd recommend this track to a friend. Top of the seats here. Drummer Aikman says Sparks by Coldplay. Took me a while to realize that Coldplay had good songs early in their career, yet I still feel guilty listening to them. Nah man, this is kinda just a banger. No guilt required, really solemn and beautiful track right here. At their roots, Coldplay's got some chops. They keep it simple here and just deliver a really sweet ballad. I like this a lot. Is it a guilty pleasure? I don't think so, man. Tampa says Lovesick Lullaby by Yungblud. I don't know why, but ever since Yungblud's newest record came out, I actually began liking his music. But it's still the only record of his I like. Wish I could easily describe how bad I think this song really is, but it's hard to put into words. Every verse I think is an actual waste of time. The chorus is alright, fairly catchy, I guess, but the verses are, I'd actually describe them as bad. His voice just kinda irks me, I think. I didn't have fun. C tier, above this red guy with wings.
Alright, stop, collaborate and listen. I sit back with my brand new invention.
Seconds, Tony Soprano says Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice. So stupid, but I can't help but smile. Banger alert. Only if you're an old fart, I'm afraid, as I begin pushing the age of 30 at the ripe age of 22. This song gets better and better. It's completely stolen, I acknowledge that, but to say this isn't a fun listen or isn't at least catchy, I think is insane. Back at the A tier. Quark 414 says Will 2K by Will Smith. It sounds like a product of its time, I'm afraid. I don't think Will Smith was ever one of the most talented rappers alive, but this is certainly catchy, I think. I don't think it holds up all that well. He just kind of makes classics. It sounds nostalgic, it sounds like the 90s. It's a fun listen. I'll say back of the A tier. Oop the Fish says My Ordinary Life by the Living Tombstone. They are seriously talented musicians. Come on, man. My first reaction was actually an audible chuckle. Were you to attempt to display their, quote, talent? I'm not sure this song was the answer. I don't know much about the Tombstone, but lyrically this is maybe the corniest shit I've ever heard in my life. The production sounds overdone. I don't think I care for the flute here. I don't get it. Certainly guilty pleasure, though. C tier, above Yungblud. Tactical Meat says Gives You Hell by All American Rejects. Has that late 2000s sound and lyrics are so corny, but that song always makes me smile. Kind of a classic right here. Certainly has that textbook 2000 sound, like you said. Were you to line this song up with its competition, I would stand no chance of picking it out. It's very alright, I think. It's nostalgic. A lot of songs encapsulate this exact nostalgic feeling and kind of the era better, and they're also kind of just better written. This is good at best. Probably closer to mid, I'm afraid. Back of the B tier. Mirror Reaper 2112 says Rollin' by Limp Bizkit. Dude's got a lot of flack, but dang, if this song is such stupid fun, and I love it. This is a classic right here. And I feel like at the very least, it feels like its own thing. There would soon be 200,000 nu metal clones, but this feels like it came out at a point where the genre was still fairly fresh. Just super high energy, loud ass song, Fred Durst fucking around. I like that. I can get down with some Limp Bizkit. S tier. Above Chasing Cars. Shag Nasty VA says Live and Learn by Crush 40. Primo Butt Rock, and also the main track for Sonic Adventure 2. I don't have the Sonic strand of autism, I'm afraid, so without that nostalgia, this is merely butt rock to me. I don't think it's bad, but I will never remember this song again, I don't think. Fairly catchy chorus, I guess, but very generic stuff. I'm gonna go B tier, behind Counting Crows. Jonathan Lufkin says 50-50 by Frank Zappa. Yeah, this is kind of peak. Frank Zappa, one of the GOATs. He's got many, many out there tracks. This is certainly out there. It's got that Zappa charm smeared all over it. Pretty sick guitar work. A pretty goated bass line to pair with it. It's fairly peak. I'll say top of the GOAT tier, to be honest. Ending on a high note. Who would have thought? Look at us go. That's all I have written here. Thank you very much for watching. Maybe subscribe if you enjoyed. And I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.